Welcome back, everybody, to the Mystery Duo podcast. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Tyler.
Epic gamer moment.
That's true. We do those sometimes.
We do.
Anywho, we have actually put ourselves in the correct category this time around.
Sure.
We are actually now under the talk shows and podcasts.
See, we learn. You know how
We
to learn. You do
we
those things.
yeah we
Times.
evolve as many other
See, it's
people
because
do.
I play Dark Souls. I know how to learn from mistakes.
I don't, so I never learned that skill.
Yeah, so I'm the learning part of
Yeah,
the.
hmm
But
yeah. Anywho, so here we are, gonna be talking about COVID because that's a thing
our
that like people are
journey
dealing with,
through the
right?
it is a thing that people do nowadays.
Yeah, like what's the deal with it? Like it's like airline food. Like why have it? Uh,
What's up with that airline food?
what is up with it? But we are gonna talk about how it has affected us as gamers.
I mean, not entirely about games in general, but
No, but I feel like as gamers, it's been a bit better for us than other people.
well, yeah, but it was just more so of gaming
Either
than
way,
normal. A lot
either
more
way,
people that weren't gaming turned to gaming because they had more time to game.
exactly. I feel like those that don't game got stuck and they just kind of had to sit at home and just watch
Yeah, there
TV
was huge
all the time.
shortages. There was huge shortages of like consoles back at the initial bit of the lockdowns and whatnot, where like you couldn't find a Switch, you couldn't find an Xbox, you couldn't find PlayStation, you couldn't find it all. And then they were selling on like eBay and stuff for like ridiculous prices. Even VR is sold out for a bit. That was like an issue, but um, yeah,
So I feel like we can start from the very beginning when it
very
started
beginning.
in when it like first started and school shut
Okay.
down and how that affected us.
I all right. Well, actually, I can go before that. I heard it. I was there because I look on I read the news a lot on Twitter, on Google. Like I just read it, and so I found out about it when they first initially found it in at the end of December, and so December of 2019. And so I knew about it way back then, and so I was paying attention to it. Like it was just like wow. And back then it wasn't really a thing that occurred to me where I was like, yeah, Puck. It didn't really occur to me that it was going to be a huge deal. It was just like, wow, that happened over there in Wuhan, China, initially, and um, but then eventually in January, January is when things started picking up, and but it didn't start. It didn't become an issue here in the states till like it was March, right? It was
Hmm.
March. It was no, it was no. We were already out of school by now. It was February this month, I think. I think so. I think so. Yeah, around there. Maybe it was beginning of March, end of February. I don't know.
Either way, like we were still in school.
Yeah, I'm just saying like when it happened because I mean I think we're able to say that we're in Ohio, so like
Yeah.
we can say that we're in Ohio. Um, so for us, it happened. It hit us. I think I want to say March now because it was around Easter. It was like right before Easter happened
Hmm.
and like spring break and whatnot. Um, and so it called down like they called the lockdown. I think at like 3 people infections in Ohio
Hmm.
in the U.S. for us, and then so that's when like we were one of the initial first lockdowns. What's his
Yes.
face? Uh, Mike DeWine, I think his name. Yeah, DeWine, our governor. He called it initially, and while that was I everyone liked it because we were getting out of school and it was like wow, and our school
Hmm.
didn't have anything set up, so it was just like we were just not doing school for this last bit.
Yeah.
But I remember there was when the lockdown happened, I was in the car with John like that day. And so it was weird because everyone knew about it. I remember having a conversation with John, who was in our last two podcasts ago.
Yeah, episode
Um,
2.
I had a conversation with him. He was in disbelief. He didn't think that COVID was ever going to get to the U.S.
Mhm.
Or that it wasn't going to get there. And I was like, John, that's not gonna not happen. And he was like, yeah, well, like it's not gonna happen. And I was like, dude, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna go to school with the plague doctor costume, and it's gonna happen. But
It's going to be really
I never,
funny.
yeah, I never got the chance to do that because literally like the week after the fact, I got the lockdowns happened. I was in the
Yeah.
car with John. And we just pulled into my driveway, and my mom texts me, and she was like, did you see the news? And I was like, what happened? And then she's like, Mike DeWine shut down, closed all the schools, and like, the first lockdown was about to start. The lockdown officially started that Monday after school started,
Yes.
closed. All the schools closed.
Yeah.
And so that was the last weekend I saw my girlfriend for like 2 months, and it was
Yeah,
yeah.
the
So
last thing that happened for me before the lockdown, I remember it was like a weird day. It was like a Friday thing, and
mm,
uh, I think like for whatever reason, my third period class, which was science at the time, was like my last thing. And the
uh,
last thing I ever heard from a teacher before I left was, "Yeah, there's a chance this may be the last time I see you guys. So who knows?" And then it was, um, and then all of a sudden, boom, freaking school shut down. I'm at home now and I'm doing online learning, which I'm not good at it. I fucking sucked hot butter eggs at it. It was not good. I really tanked a lot in my classes, and there were no testing. Um, for my school at least, that we didn't have like the testing at the end of the year, um, which is what
oh
I
yeah,
usually rely on.
we had no finals. Yeah, there was no finals. It was not
Hmm.
a thing. It was just like it just didn't exist, and I was like, "That's strange."
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was a bit worried
we were
because
test guys. Like we
I
like
yeah
tests are the things, but
I
these
I was worried because I started like failing some classes, and like my mom said something
yeah,
about like
same.
if you gotta pass. If you fail one class, you gotta repeat it. And I'm like, well, that sounds like a load of BS, but there's a chance it may be true. Because typically what I do is get passing grades junior year, and then like, well, not I mean like third quarter, and then fourth quarter I just kind of fucking stick my thumbs up my ass and just like sit there. I don't
Yeah,
have to worry too much because I do the finals and I do well because I'm decent at testing, and boom, I pass and I'm good to go. It worked for me for 5 fucking years. Then all of a sudden they rip that away from me. And they say, no, 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 you can't do that anymore because what if you get sick? And I'm like, God damn it. So we don't get the testing, don't get any of that. I like
yeah,
it's pretty obvious that they wouldn't let you do it at home because you could just cheat.
it, yeah. That's how it was. But the thing is, they ended up doing. I don't know if you knew, but they ended up doing pass fail exemptions anyway. So like, even if you did fail like some classes, like you were gonna basically pass anyways, and it was
Yeah,
like it wasn't.
that's what happened with me.
Yeah. Um, I didn't end up having like that being an issue though. I think I did like completely tank one class. I forget which one in particular. I think it was I think with I think it was art where I just like turned everything in and then she just gave me an A
Hmm.
even though I didn't do anything. But I think it was just they were just getting everyone through because it was just a rough thing and then they didn't really expect us to do it because it was
Hmm.
not something that was planned at all. Like the school was not set up for that at all, and so it was just not a good learning environment, and no one was ready for it.
No.
And so they were just kind of letting it happen. This year, I don't think the kids are that lucky. Like they just had like they have to do that.
Hmm.
But
Um,
uh,
and then after that, it was just all staying home all summer, not doing anything, not going out. And for me and you, we just were gaming, or I was gaming. We were just chilling,
yeah,
gaming, not doing anything. Yeah, my Xbox broke, but I was still gaming on the PC and stuff like that.
um,
Um,
before we move on, like school wise, like this is the last thing I have to say about it that affected me, and I really got upset about is that I took anatomy this my senior year of high school, and so because I like doing dissections and
Mhm.
stuff because I like doing the project thing, and although I didn't really like dissecting a cat, it was still a dissection, and like the cat's gone anyways. I might as well learn about it,
Yeah.
and
It's not like
I
they're going out and killing
we
cats for this.
I
It was
know,
already
yeah, like
dead.
there's yeah. We were just starting the dissection
Oh
when
man.
the lockdown happened, and it really sucks because I didn't get to do that
Mhm.
year, and I'm pretty sure I ended up paying for that class when I didn't even get to do that stuff, and
Yeah.
it was an issue, and but
We got
that's that.
our dissections out of the way before it happened. I think it was like third semester that we did it. We
Yeah.
dissected a squid. Dissected a squid. Nah, I thought that was okay. And we dissected a dogfish shark, which I thought was pretty cool. And I actually have the eyes of the shark. Apparently, they're like little grapes. Apparently, so like that black film is quite literally just a film over the eye that has like a bunch of like goobity goo in it because you have to like pierce it and like squeeze the inner eye out. Uh,
uh,
so I have those in a jar right now. Well, not in a jar; it's in a tube.
Dude, I can't. I just looked at the tags you put mode survival.
Yeah, dude. Because like, dude, you think and you're thinking to yourself and you're like, oh, survival. He means he's gaming in survival mode. No, dude, I'm in survival mode right now.
IRL.
I'm in survival and no backseating. No backseating. All right. Don't backseat this fucking podcast. I swear to God. We're on easy mode. Even though this is survival, I was born in America. I'm in easy mode right now. Um, Retro because everything that is occurring right now that I am saying is getting to you slightly delayed. So technically, it's in the past. This is educational because you're learning about us, and IRL because it's IRL, man. And we're speaking in English. So, Tyler, there's not a single tag on here that you can tell me
I
is
know, but
incorrect.
it's that's true. It's just it's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, so initially when the lockdowns when the lockdowns first hit, it was kind of a relief thing coming from the perspective of a student, I guess, because
Mm,
like, yay, out of school, and it was just like a really long break, and but we got like they let us uh fly with so much, and I don't know, it was strange being at home every single day and
mm,
just not going anywhere, and it was I like, and I didn't, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. Like I wasn't able to do anything. I was just starting the work, and then I got, you know, I had to sideline that till June,
mm,
and it was really rough because my mom in particular, I still, I still live at home, and um, my mom in particular was very very defensive against it, which is fair. Like yeah, like I'm not against that. It was really rough, like time being locked down, and particularly because my mom believes she might be auto immune compromised and or immunocompromised is what I mean. And
mm.
then my brother has asthma, so like it's like if if something happens, we don't know how things would go down.
Yeah.
But like it was just a really strange and rough time, and I think that affected everyone on a very like bigger scale than is talked about nowadays. And like it just it that I think that needs to be something that is acknowledged, is like the depression and like loneliness people like I could not imagine being someone that lives alone
Lives
during the lockdown.
alone, doesn't game or talk to anyone. All they
Yeah,
have
and then
is
they're
like
forced to do work
texting,
at home.
and they have to work at home. Like, I get it. I really do. Like, I get where people come from when they say to open things up. Um, I do. Like, when, like, Trump opened everything up for the first time, I get why he did it. I, like, it, like, COVID cases, like, spiked after that, but,
Yeah, I feel like
like,
we need it needs to be a balance of sorts. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't go too far one way, otherwise. I mean, I get it at the very initial like beginning, like bam, try to slow it down as much as you can, but like eventually you need to start
You got to
balancing
do
out.
something because people can't just sit
Otherwise,
at home all day.
there's going to be negative effects in other areas that are just as great as what would have happened with if we didn't like
Yeah.
lock down at all. And so like there was spikes in suicides and drug use and all these other things, domestic violence one of them, and it was just this. I feel like this needs to be a thing that like is acknowledged
Mm-hmm.
more often. Like even now, like it's still an issue. Like it's
It's still an
but
issue and no one's talking about it.
and
And I don't like that either. I really don't. Um,
I'm lucky that I do still live at home, and so I had that social interaction, but just I could not imagine like being someone that lived alone and didn't have any family, and they were just truly alone during that like time of
mm-hmm.
the lockdown. And but geez,
I can't imagine it either. And I feel like those words, I can't imagine it, need to be said more often. If you don't know what a person's going through, don't say that you do. And when I spent some time doing psychology and sociology and stuff, that's like one of the things that I learned. Like, if you don't understand what they're going through, don't pretend like you do. I don't know what it's like to be an extrovert that is now stuck at home. Like, that a person that likes talking to people all the time and hanging out and stuff is now physically unable to do that. I can't imagine it. And I can't imagine, like, the way they feel going through that. It's gotta be crazy. Um,
yeah, you can only really be as empathetic as you
mhm.
can and try to put yourself in their shoes, but there is no like truly like you would not you would there's no way to be exactly in their situation unless you were like them,
Mhm.
but you aren't them.
Yeah,
So it's just kind of like there.
yeah. But then, if you look at the other side of the coin, looking at all this, you know, this is some sort of natural selection, you know?
In a
And
way.
and you know who comes out on top? Gamers. Gamers come out on top. Who's the people that aren't affected at all? Me. I don't care. Freaking keep everything locked down. I'll sit here and play fucking Minecraft all goddamn day, and I won't give a shit. You can't stop me, virus. There ain't nothing. You got no hands. You ain't got
Yeah,
no hands.
yeah,
Gamers
it's
come out on
stopped a
top
lot of
again.
sports. It stopped a lot of sports. I was actually they brought sports back way faster than I thought they would. Like
Mhm.
even like contact sports, like there was football and baseball, and I
Wrestling
mean
didn't even stop.
baseball's not even
Wrestling never like skipped a beat. I don't think. A lot of wrestlers like aren't there anymore. Like I watch like WWE and stuff. Like there is a significant decrease in the amount of people and the variety of people. It's like the same like
well.
20
I think they had
guys
to cut
each and
down the
every
crowd,
match
but
basically. Um
see, it's a lot easier to control like them. But like they had obviously the crowd was probably not there.
Yeah, that really, because there's a lot of like wrestlers that play off the crowd and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan's a good example. Like he doesn't work there anymore, but like Hulk Hogan, for example, is one of those guys that like if there was no crowd, like there's no impact. There like no impact of
yeah,
him like hulking up and getting like hyped and shit. If
yeah.
like
It's
there's
like
no crowd
slap, and then he looks at the crowd. And he's like,
and
yeah,
there's no
but
one there.
and then he's like, aw.
It's the same thing. Like there was this one like part with like Stone Cold Steve Austin, where like he's trying to do his thing. He's like, give me a hell yeah," and it's silent. There's nothing there. And he does it again. Give me a hell yeah, and then one dude like up on like the ramp, like just a single guy goes hell yeah, and he just stares at him, and he's fucking because like the guys like that, like John Cena, like not only is he like working on like a movie or whatever, but like even if he came back, it's not a place for him. There's no crowd. There's no one to play to. There is
At
at
least
this
not.
point TV screens with people's faces on it and like canned like clapping. Like they're playing canned laugh tracks like this is a
Yeah,
sitcom right now. Um, so like it sucks for them, but like wrestling is a very different sport because at most you got like 10 guys in a ring at most. Like you could have like one guy versus one dude. That's two people in a ring, right? That's a lot different from like say football where you got like 40 people on a field and then like 100 other guys just kind of surrounding them,
Yeah.
and
So
fucking
it's
water
very
boy
strange.
McGee over here handing out solo cups, like
So it was very strange that they brought sports back a lot
mhm.
faster after things locked down. And I mean I was surprised. Like I remember Carter, one of our friends, like he was already doing like practices and stuff all the like it was like I think it was June already. And that wasn't even that long after everything like locked down and then things were starting to relax. And it was just like bam immediately. And so I was surprised by that in general. Jordan, what is
It's
the
fine.
meaning?
It's fine. It's fine. Um Either way though, it is like COVID was a weird scenario for some people, and I feel like especially in this time and age. All right, 1920s had like what the Spanish flu or something. I feel
Yeah.
like less people were being weird and saying it's fake. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't feel like it. Like they like got their shit together. They strapped on their boots. They strapped on their mask, and they said, "Fucking let's do it. I'm done."
See, nowadays though, it's a lot easier for misinformation to be like
Spread.
perpetrated.
Mm.
Yeah, because there's so much access to that stuff. I mean, it's not like it couldn't happen back then. It was just that it would have been rumors and stuff. But it's it's just like now
Now,
it like the environment we live in. It's just like everyone's constantly able to interact with each other. There is no
like those
let
people
go
that think that
or
snow
feeling
in
off.
Texas is fake.
Yeah.
This is the same breed of people. I like because they don't know how snow works. They don't realize that a majority of snow is air. So when the ice is melting, it just goes in those holes and just hangs out for a bit. Because people have access to so much information. Because all it takes for people to like think like if they like took like a whatever to snow or whatever, right? All it takes is one Google search to say like, why isn't this melting? You
See,
know,
yeah,
and then
but here's
Google could try and give you an answer, but
those
they
are
don't
generally
even do that.
those are generally the same people that are believing misinformation, but then they think the real information is just misinformation. Like
Mm,
people they think like flat earthers that believe NASA's lying to them for some reason.
mm.
Like so anything that they would like, why does this happen? And then you Google it, and then they're like, well,
Well,
that's
you're
just
lying to me.
there's lies, and so that's the mentality they have, and then so it falls into the same thing with with how people like they COVID didn't exist or whatever, and it's like it's not even a thing, and so it just kind of it's the same mentality, I guess. And
Hmm.
then I don't think they're the same people. Like there's people like they're not the same kind of people, but it's that same mentality where they just believe a certain misinformation, and then so they won't believe anything you try to tell them unless it's like in your face belief.
Yeah.
Like people that didn't think COVID existed until like got it or
Hmm.
something, and so it was just
Like a
kind of
loved one got it, and then they're like,
yeah.
oh shit, fuck. Um,
Well, dang.
Speaking of earthers, I always find it fascinating that even though they believe the Earth is like a flat fucking disc, they still look at like the moon and Mars and be like, yeah, it's a sphere. We can see it's a sphere. And like
Yeah.
I always like, why would every fucking thing else be a sphere except for Earth, which is a disc floating through space?
Because they're egotistical.
Yeah,
That's kind of
because I made
or
this really good analogy, or like not analogy, like whatever the fuck it's called. On like why I think this happens. I think it's the fact that people have so many things that they have to make something up to complain about.
I think it's a form of counterculture. It's a where they need to identify something that is against the crowd,
The norm, so that way they can
and then so
stand out,
they
and then
yes, so they use something that even though it might make them, and part of it's also like finding a community that they want to be a part of, and so because everyone wants be a part of people, like a
Mhm.
group, even some loners, like they just like being a part of something,
I'm
and
not
being
like everybody else.
we're
I
social
like
animals.
fucking dark things.
We're social people, and so like that's just a necessity. And so part of it's like being a part of like picking something that puts you apart from the crowd, and then finding a community that you can try to like kind of get behind. And then and it's also a form of counterculture where they go against it. And so they're like, well, there's like, so usually the people that are flat earthers, for example, they find something that they they find some, like, they question, the existence of the globe, right?
Mhm.
And then so they go under the guise of them being smart, but then they refuse to listen to any actual science, because they it's under the guise of like that's a lie.
Mhm.
And so it's not actually being smart. Being like, oh, question science, that's part of science, but then they don't actually question themselves, and then so that's the error that they're
Mhm.
making. And
They're
then so
questioning the science and then questioning nothing else. They question the science and then just like then they're wrong.
yeah,
Like they don't question their
yeah,
own way of thinking.
I've seen actual videos of people that like they do a test to see like whether or not to flat Earth, and then they the experiment that obviously proves that the Earth is not flat and is a globe goes wrong, and it's a globe, and then they're like, well, that can't be right. And then so then they just refuse to believe it. And I know this is about the podcast about COVID, but it relates in the same sense that like people that didn't think COVID
It
was a thing
existed.
and wouldn't trust certain things. And while there just needs to be like a balance between how people act and how things need to be. I don't like I'm trying to explain this in a way where like with the lockdown, and how other people, while we were in lockdown, it was helping drive down the numbers of COVID. There was cases of like we already mentioned it, with like suicide, domestic violence, and just depression and
Mm.
stuff in general, from people being lonely, and or drug use is another one. And so it was just, there's trade-offs. There's consequences to your actions either which way. And so there needs to be a balance. And there's also economic ones, like we brought up, like uh domestic ones with people, but there's economic consequences to shutting down and keeping things locked down for so long, like small businesses, for example, it being closed down because they could not stay, they can pay their mortgage
Exactly.
and pay for stuff. And then so it's very, very harmful
Hmm.
from COVID, just all
And
around.
I bet the riots didn't help too much either.
Oh no.
I yeah. Speaking of which, that happened during COVID too, and during that time, everyone kind of forgot that COVID existed, which I get. Fucking something kind of big happened. Dude was just straight up murdered. Um, like that is
Yeah.
kind of big. That's a big deal. And them like protesting and stuff, which I was completely behind it. It's a good reason. Um,
Yeah.
it definitely didn't help with COVID. It definitely didn't help small business owners that were being robbed and killed in their own stores, by people that either weren't even in the protest to begin with, weren't fighting for like the reason, were just there because they could get free shit, or people
Yeah.
that were in the protests and saw them doing it, like the other group, and said,
I
"Let's
do
go do that
believe
too."
that it was mainly peace, like all right, there's a difference here. All right, while majority of the people did not commit the crime of that, there is also the thing is that there were so many people that it's like the entire situation just got toxic from the people that were not peaceful with the
Hmm.
peaceful people.
Yeah.
So like people would go in, and so like, yeah, you could say like most majority of the people were peaceful. It's just that you were also because of that, it was like there's a facilitation of crime in those areas during the stuff. And then so it was an issue.
Yeah, it
um
was really a
it was,
whole ordeal, and then COVID numbers
and
spiked.
I did a lot more damage than good. And so like you can say it was under the guise of like, oh, this is what happens, or like, oh, this is just people being hurt. It's just that it harms the cause, I believe, more so because then it gives the other side the ability to be like, oh, you're just hurting your own communities, like, and which is true. Like, you are hurting your own by
And
doing
it
that.
just gives them like a stepping stone to like continue like shutting down your entire deal.
Yeah,
Um,
and if it was truly like there was, you did it in a way where it was truly peaceful, you could take the high road. You could like, and there was no other way to go about it, and then
mm,
so the other side has to confront that. But since it was a riot and people were breaking into things and stealing things,
mm,
they can take that low road and just completely destroy the cause because
yes.
they can just bring it to
Say
the
like,
sense that,
oh well, you
oh,
just
you're
fucking
just destroying your own community,
yeah,
and
you
it
just
was
beat up the
just
guy
horrible.
working at Subway. What the hell? Um, but like, I'm like, I get okay. Other than the people that were going there not for the cause, just to do shit, the people that did believe in the cause and decided that not to do peaceful protest, as long as it was like you weren't hurting anyone and it was like big businesses like fucking Walmart or something, I don't mind. I don't care. It's Walmart. They can restock
However,
their shit.
though,
Fucking
however, it's like
don't go for like Joe Schmo's fucking
there's a
t-shirt
difference in
company.
civil disobedience than just straight up stealing from big corporations.
Hmm. But
And I think there should be a distinction between like just, well, like, everyone stop, everyone run red lights, what the fuck, that would still be like, that would be stupid, but it would still be an example of civil disobedience.
yeah.
um it's I don't think it needed to be a case of destruction
Hmm.
and in general, but because like I had a job in Cleveland not that long ago. It was like a month ago, and I it was like the place it was at. It was a little store. Um um, I work at a moving company, but so I was just moving around stuff, and so the store in Cleveland, it was a little jewelry store, and so and it was like it was like a little like mini mall thing, and so there's a whole bunch of stores in this little area, and so all the stores had like big glass like open windows on the like it's like a normal mall. Every single one of those windows was shattered, every single one,
Hmm.
and they all had to be replaced. And so this jewelry store, they had everything just like destroyed. People stole mannequins for some reason. They didn't actually lose any of their goods because they said the night before they put the like all jewelry in the safe, but it was like everything was gone. And the lady told us that like there's a store like two rooms down that it was like a clothing store, and everything was taken because obviously at the end of the night you don't take all the clothes and put them in a safe. Every single piece of clothing was gone. There was nothing actually, and even all the furniture, even the racks, did not exist. Like, she came back the next day and it was just nothing. There's
Empty.
nothing in there,
Empty store.
and that's just not necessary.
Not epic. Not epic.
And those people, it's just I don't know, it harmed a lot, like a lot of the cause, I
Hmm.
think, because it allows the other side to make an excuse about it,
Hmm.
and
You know what really,
also
fucked up their cause? Like you can break into stores and stuff, but you know what really fucked up this cause? Really like shot them in the foot. Like they were like fumbling the ball with like the cause and stuff. They were fumbling, but they really dropped the ball when they shot a kid. Think that was like the final nail in the coffin for their cause is when they started shooting kids. That
I don't
didn't
think
that didn't
the
help.
the story of that.
It was one of those Black Lives Matter. It was a different group. It wasn't Black Lives Matter group. It was a different group. And they got rid of all of the police, and they're like, we can function as a society without police.
I think
Police
it was
have too high grade military items and not enough training. So
I
we're
think it was
getting rid of the police, all right? But we're gonna need
yeah.
some sort of armed militia to make sure everyone's all right and secure and enforce laws. So let's get some
Oh,
untrained civilians and give
are you
them
talking about?
military weapons.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
sounds right. And then they shot like a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old.
There was are you talking about like it was like Chaz or something? There was like a little place in Portland, or I think it was Portland,
Mm.
not not Portland, like Oregon or uh, I don't know. It was somewhere over there on the west side of the U.S. where there was an entire group of people that took over like 3 blocks of a city, and I think it was Seattle actually, but
Uh-huh.
um, and there it was like they're behaving independent of the US, but it was just like a thing, and it was very. I'm not really gonna go into it, but it was just not
A
good
smart
for the
idea.
women
Not a smart
because
idea.
it quickly dissolved and like after like a week, and then they tried coming back, but it was just like it wasn't gonna work. It was just not a thing.
Mm.
They were not set up to do that, and it was just not. It went. They were like, oh, the U.S. is fascist, and then themselves became a fascist thing with weapons. But it's just, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
I
But
feel like me and you are like smart individuals, but if you handed us a gun and said, "Hey, you are now the only person to enforce the law on your block. Have fun." I don't think
I don't
me
know
and
how
you
I
would
feel
do a
about
good job at that.
that.
You know,
It probably
I
wouldn't be that effective.
no, I
Like
don't think.
everyone becoming like come to our doors if
Mm,
you need assistance, and then like people coming at like midnight, and they're just like Tyler, there's someone that was peeping Tom. I come out with a 12 gauge. Just fucking
yeah, it's fucking. I'll blast his brains out, and then since it's like a 12 gauge, you like fucking break your shoulder and like shoot the neighbor's dog, and fucking or the people that are like, whoa, the kind of, like that. I always find the funniest parts are like, I was thinking about this today. This is very off topic, but those people that make the argument that like the Constitution, like the Second Amendment, was made for muskets and that type of gun.
actually, yeah, that was not true
Um,
because there's already weapons that could not be. That was much better than the musket at the
mhm.
time. And they were all avid gun lovers actually. But this is off topic, so it's
Yes,
not
yes,
really.
yes. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, if it was made for like muskets and like flintlock pistols, I feel like those are even more dangerous than the modern guns we have today. Because if I shoot a musket, I know it's going to go somewhere in that general direction. Because unlike modern firearms, they used balls. I shot, like, you would shoot a golf ball sized hole through something on the other side of that barrel. It's going somewhere in that direction. And especially like flintlock pistols, fucking smoothbore shit, you're not hitting anything. If I'm trying to shoot some ruffian trying to mug me, I might completely miss him and hit fucking some lady in a 2-story building across the street.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
See,
not hitting this dude.
the argument though for them is that it's since like those are one shot. Their issue is when there's a magazine,
Mhm.
and so like you can get more shots off than like
Quicker.
in repetition. You
Mhm.
could just go bow 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 bow.
Yes.
Um, although I feel like the people that do make those arguments, there is a lot of just some of them don't have the knowledge, like they don't understand
Yeah.
the weapon that they're talking about, and so that also gives the other side the ability to just discount them because they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. They're like,
And
name a gun, and they're like, fucking, and they just name like some Nerf gun, and they're like, fucking idiot, get out of here. And then their entire point is disproved because when they asked them to name the firearm in question, they gave them a Nerf gun.
or
Like,
they go fully, oh, it was fully semi-automatic, and it
fully
was like
semi-automatic. Like, fucking, what do you
that doesn't
mean?
make sense. That doesn't make sense. You just said it was fully semi-automatic. If it's a semi-automatic, it shoots one bullet per
Yeah.
pull with the trigger.
You were
But
about to start making the sound of the gun, and you
and then
quickly realized that you shouldn't do that.
and then there's also a big it becomes extremely apparent when they make the argument that is like, or when they do like an experiment thing, and then they see that they're only just scared of the black tactical looking weapons.
Mhm.
But this is off topic from COVID. We should probably
Yes.
go back.
Uh, shoot COVID with guns.
If only that
That's
worked.
yeah, that should work. I mean, bullets are big enough.
You
Um,
want to move on to the vaccine, maybe?
sure. That came out a few weeks ago, I think.
It was December is when, like early December is when they started rolling it out, I think. And
Hmm.
then, well, all
It
right.
got
So here's
a lot of the Trump supporters very
here's the,
confused,
here's
which
the
was
thing.
very funny.
Is here's the thing. They started working on the vaccine immediately, obviously.
Yes.
From what I have read from the entire thing as it was happening, it has the exact same amount of experimentation, testing, and everything. The only thing that was fast tracked with with the vaccines was the paperwork because obviously it was in everyone's interest,
To
or
get it
like
done.
yeah, to get it done. Because usually vaccines they take a lot more time to make, but
Mhm.
part of it's paperwork and finding funding and support for making the vaccine.
Yes.
And obviously, it was in the world's interest. I feel like everyone was behind this.
Yeah.
Um, that to get the vaccine done. I
Hmm.
mean, except those who are against vaccines.
Yeah. Which is the fun part that I want to get to. It's because it's typically like Trump supporters that like think vaccines are like fucking
It's not
cancer guns, or
not
like
yeah. Well, I
like
wouldn't say
some of
it was
them,
just
right?
Trump supporters, but it was part of that. Yeah, it's the
And
same.
it's like in that group. Like there's another group that like don't believe that, and they just so happen to also be
Yeah,
Trump supporters. And I think it was very funny to watch them stumble around as they're like, well, Trump just released this vaccine. He's the one that's been saying like that this is like pretty epic, and yet he was working very hard on it. But at this, like, not only do I support Trump, but I hate vaccines, and now there's Trump vaccine. The fuck do I do? If I
yeah.
say this vaccine is like government shit, then
Contradiction.
I'm against Trump. And then if I go with it, then I'm for vaccines. And they just had like a mental breakdown, having to
Yeah,
now pick a side. And I thought that was
yeah.
funny.
Or at
Um,
least those people.
and those people are
Um,
funny who think that like
yeah.
the government is putting like little chips in them. Uh, honey, they already did. It's in your phone. If I'm an intelligent enough hacker, I could figure out everyone's location by their phone. It's that simple. Like
That is.
what's
But
what's a
kind of thing
fucking
happens like this.
cellular
Yeah,
device that knows your location at all times that you never get like leave at home, like that you almost always have on you? It is your
it
phone.
started in 2000s, but it was. I think it mainly became a thing in like 2010s when phones started like made a big jumps.
Mm-hmm.
It was the iPhone. It was the Apple iPhone that made the huge like design choice for everything, and that's why everything takes that kind of similar look
Mm-hmm.
based off of that. But yeah,
Very
but the
innovative. And then they really didn't change up their design for the next 15 years. Well, 11 years now, but they really just kind of kept with the same deal
well, I
ever
think it
since.
works.
Well, it works, but they're like, maybe headphone jack. Fuck them.
Oh yeah, that was.
That was pretty
Although we
funny.
can't blame Steve Jobs for that because he was already passed by then.
Mm, it was a different
Um.
guy, and they're just like,
Anyways,
let's
we
start
should.
removing
On.
phone devices.
I think his name's Tim now, but we should. All right. So again, a lot of the time when people make the argument against things, it's followed, or a silly argument against things. It's followed by them just not having knowledge of said thing, or they hear hearsay, and then immediately causes like a fear, and then they use all that against it, and so that I think that's mainly what fuels the people that are anti, like the vaccine. And while I get it, there is like a fear because like this happened extraordinarily fast. It's okay to be scared of like things that putting in your body. It's just that you should also take that time to learn about it and
Hmm.
trust. You trust your doctor. Like
Hmm.
this isn't any different than trusting a doctor. That
Hmm.
one the people that made this, and plus there's multiple people. There's so many people taking the vaccine now. We'll just basically if you want to wait and you're not on the if you're not even able to get the vaccine anyways right now, it's fair. You can wait
Hmm.
and then see how it is. But that's just fair.
Yeah.
Um, But
Like I get it somewhat where it comes from. Like they're sticking a needle in me. Who fucking knows what's in that thing? Like, dude, I don't think our technology's that good to where we have microscopic tracking devices injecting them into your bloodstream that go into your brain and fucking make it go poo poo for cocoa nuts. Like I don't think we're at that point. I don't
to
think.
be fair, how would we know?
How would we
We-
know? You know,
how far along in Civ are we? You know,
in
and
in Civilization 6, how far have we gone? Uh, I don't know, man. Now that would require a lot of people to keep quiet about that. A
it
lot
would.
of a lot of people, and that would
The same
also.
with
Uh,
flat Earth and stuff, like where
mm-hmm,
they like, yeah, it's just lying to you. You know, there's like 70,000 scientists. You know how hard of a secret that's gonna be.
mm-hmm. Or like the fake snow, like you know how like technologically advanced we'd have to be to produce a cold snap like that. Like it's like people
We
like
were able
who
to
never
control
seen
it.
snow before in their lifetime. I get it. They're freaking out. Fucking like, new experience. I only heard rumors that this stuff existed. Fucking like
If
they
we were able to control the weather, we'd be so far along in other places right now.
God,
Like
man.
hurricanes would not happen.
Hmm.
Hurricanes, like we would just
No
a hurricane.
one's gaining anything from hurricanes. Like,
No one gains anything from freezing over Texas, really. Like
yeah,
who gains from that?
like a few hundred people died, but like no one's sitting there fucking like, yes, if
No,
I freeze some of Texas and some of Mexico, I this is one step closer to my global domination. Like this, fucking, it's cold. It's cold. Put on a coat. Buy a coat. Fucking like, um, God, man, it's snow. Google what snow is. It will tell you.
I totally thought a lot more people died. Oh, I'm gonna mute.
Um, like fucking dude, come on. It's snow. It's not like fucking gonna get you. It's just snow. You melt it, it turns to water sometimes. Other times it just goes back inside. Gotta figure that out. Anywho,
Yeah, that's much better.
okay.
I thought a lot more people died from it, but it was only 10 people. There was a lot.
Oh, wow.
I think there was like two or three that were kids though, and it was sad.
That
Like I
is
read
sad.
about a this isn't COVID related, but you know it happened during COVID, so I guess it matters.
A lot of things
Um,
are happening during COVID time.
yeah, there was there was people that died from carbon monoxide poisoning. There's yeah an 8-year-old girl and her mother died while they were on the phone. Um, I didn't even know how the hell does this happen. I heard the story of this child that they were like 11 years old and they died next to their like 4-year-old brother as they were like underneath a blanket and they died from hypothermia during the night, which is like that's just like crazy.
Hmm.
That's just crazy. And you know they heard about it 10 years prior, and I get it, it's Texas, but you know if you were warned that your systems could not take this kind of thing, and you're like maybe we should do this, that might be a good thing that the taxpayers would be interested in buying and
Hmm.
upgrading and just dealing.
Yeah.
Um, but because you know that way, I think they're gonna obviously do it now. I think they have to, otherwise, you know, like
You're just stupid if you don't like upgrade your systems to like keep your house warm sometimes. Like, I get it,
yeah,
it's Texas and it's hot, but like, dude, guess what? My
they were
house,
warned.
like, I've never had a tornado show up at my house, right? But like, if one does, it's not like I'm gonna stand outside my window and point at it and say it's fake. I'm gonna be like, you're not real to me, and just like point at it. Like, fucking, I'm gonna go like in a room that I feel is safe. Like, I'm not gonna be stupid about it. I'm gonna go like figure something out. Be
Yeah,
like, all right, I'm gonna go like take the necessary precaution to try and keep myself safe. I'm not gonna fucking just like
yeah. I've
point at
never
it and go
been
like, it's probably just some fucking hologram, dude. It's fine. I'm gonna do some grilling now. Like, fucking dude. Like,
totally fake.
God. Anywho, we're getting thin pretty well about COVID, and I say let's end COVID
Mm.
podcast with something COVID related, which is, Tyler, how long do you think this is going to last for? How many more
Oh
months?
my God. I think right now they're slating it for like at the very latest by the end of this year.
Mhm.
But like things are gonna like normal-ish, like quote unquote normal. Um, by the summer, not like June, but like July and stuff is when like things will be better. And people they just think this is gonna be another seasonal virus that's just gonna be a thing for
Mhm.
like ever now. But um, which is fine. You know, like we'll move on with life. You know, think bad things happen. You overcome and move on.
Mhm.
But I think like July, around July August is when like we'll be able to start pushing
Mhm.
and things will be down enough because they're already I think they're already moving like through the next few phases of the vaccine or like more and more like the availability for it's going to be
Mhm.
like a lot and there's multiple vaccines now like there's
Yes,
first was
because
the
there's a lot
Pfizer
of strains of COVID.
Moderna
Because it can
well
jump to animals and then mutate and then jump back to
it's
humans.
yeah well that's not why we have multiple vaccines it's just that like is we had multiple vaccines because obviously it's in the pharmaceutical company's best interests to make a vaccine financially because you know but good thing there's competition there otherwise because if it was just Pfizer they can charge whatever the fuck they want
Exactly.
for their vaccine
Which is
and
kind of
but
how
now there's
glasses are right now. It's all glasses company are owned by like the same people, and they just got a
yeah
monopoly over glasses.
we don't need to get onto
Fucking
if we want to have
monopolies, dude.
a monopoly podcast then
Hmm.
we can do that. But um, so yeah, I think it's starting to become a lot more available. I was almost able to I was invited to be a part of a clinical trial for a
Hmm.
vaccine, and I would have gotten like $3,000. And I was thinking about it, but I was like, you know, I I don't know, you know, like I don't really want to be a guinea pig.
Yeah,
I don't really feel like it.
I see you.
So, and
I
I'm sure it was
mhm.
would have been fine, but like you know, it probably
I
you know,
would have
let that
done
be
it.
someone
I already got COVID once, which I'm shocked I didn't bring up at all. But I
actually
got COVID.
had
Uh,
COVID. You probably wouldn't. They said you weren't able to do it anyway. So like I had to
shit.
be previously like I have no idea. I have like no
Mhm.
idea if I got it or not because I actually didn't really talk about that. You didn't talk about your
No,
experience.
yeah, I got COVID, and
Sounds
fucking dude, as a young lad, it wasn't too bad. My parents had it the worst. My dad
bad.
honestly didn't actually have it too bad either, but my mom's apparently her immune system's a piece of shit. Um, like I don't know what her deal was. She should probably pick her nose more often. But dude, she had it like the worst out of everyone. She was just hacking up a lung all the time. And then I got it. My sister didn't get it. My younger sister, my younger brother didn't get it. I got it, and I'm like, dude, coughing up, like phlegm
I feel
and
like they
stuff.
probably got it, but they just didn't show any symptoms because I
Yeah, they
feel like if
probably
you
didn't.
were
I know they got it. I know they got it, but they didn't show any symptoms. There's no
yeah.
way they just didn't get it. Um, but I fucking got it. Wasn't too bad. As a youngin, I feel like the more younger you are, the more fine you'll be. Uh,
Yeah, you couldn't taste or
couldn't taste
smell.
or smell. Except for like small hints of things, which is probably just my brain saying, "Hey, this is what it should taste like. I'll help a little bit." And then it came back, and I'm like, "Cool, epic." Um,
It was like
honestly, that was the
4 days,
worst part.
4 or 5 days.
I think it was like
Um,
for possibly 6 days
yeah.
of not being able to taste or smell anything. And that was the worst part. Those days felt like forever.
Mm.
Um, and it really sucked. It showed up right before I was about to eat a juicy burger from Applebee's, and that was like the worst part. Was just like, man, I can't wait to get in this burger. Burger doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah.
And then I drank some Gatorade, and I'm like, this Gatorade doesn't taste like anything. Damn it! And so like, yeah, I don't know. For young people, I feel like if you get it, don't worry too much. You're not gonna have any long symptoms going on. You'll
Yeah, that
probably
doesn't mean you
just
can go do whatever the hell you want, though.
yeah,
Like
don't do
that.
whatever the hell you want because you might give it to some old person and get them fucking
Also,
killed, you psycho.
like Jordan's mom didn't like her immune system was bad. You
Yeah,
know,
her
like
immune system was a
just
piece of
because
shit.
your immune system's good doesn't mean
Hmm.
everyone else is gonna
Is
react the same
good.
way.
Yeah,
So there's people you
Mm,
got to keep that in mind. Like it's not just about you,
yeah.
and so
Like,
um
and then, dude, again, another part of that fucking like natural selection, dude. As a gamer, constantly living in gamer gunk, my immune system's like perfect. Like it's seen everything. It's seen everything. Like
yeah.
coronavirus was just another fucking piece of gamer gunk that he had to deal with. You know, those white blood cells, they're like fucking M1A1 Abrams. You know, down there in my body, fucking shit up. You know,
Well, for
like
me, I've moved a lot. So like, well, in like into different climates,
yeah.
except well, everything except like the desert. But um,
Hmm.
so, like I've
I would
been,
die in the desert.
I've experienced a bit more. I don't get sick very often at all. But also apparently, my blood type is like O positive. I
Hmm.
think it's I know it's O, but and apparently people with O blood type have like a natural resistance to COVID. So I
Yeah.
just kind of
I don't remember what my blood type was. I honestly can't put a finger on it, but I don't know.
um
I just know that like my immune system's doing all right. I never been super mega sick where like I'm throwing up all the time. Like I've
yeah.
been sick where I'm throwing up a bit, but like it's never like, oh god, I gotta get up every 5 minutes to go puke out my organs.
Yeah.
Um, I'm fine in that sense, and
Like it was like 6 years ago.
I got my appendix removed, and that sucked.
Oh,
Uh, that was a thing that like I got real sick from. Like I was like on the floor, like
yeah.
as like my appendix said, "You don't want me anymore. I'm gonna fucking explode."
When did that? When did that happen? I know you had surgery.
Oh yeah, no, this was a very long time ago. This is long before I met you. I was like fucking, I was in the third grade. Third
Oh,
grade, my appendix decided that he didn't want to be here anymore, and that he was gonna blow himself up if I don't remove him.
yeah.
Um, and I was like on the floor in the living room, just like dying. I think I threw up on my great grandmother's chair that we had. I think too. Uh, it was like my mother's grandmother's chair, and I like threw up on it. And that's when they knew that like something's up, and they took me in, and they got the appendix removed until like before it fucking decided that it wanted to literally explode. Um, so that was pretty cool, but that was like one of the most sick I've ever been. You know, because like there's like a bomb in my stomach that says, "Hey, you better remove me. You don't need me anymore. I don't want
Yeah.
to be here." And it's quite literally what they said. And God, man, I can't wait till, you know, bodies, you know, humans get born. They don't have an appendix anymore. They don't need it. You throw it in the trash. They don't
Um,
have like a tailbone. We still have fucking tailbones. Like, come on. Imagine breaking a bone in your body that your body doesn't even need to have anymore. That must suck.
it must suck. Actually, that probably affects your sitting
Oh yeah,
because we do sit on our tailbones.
we do sit on our
Uh,
tailbones. I would
anyway,
say, yeah,
moral of the story: um, appendixes are bombs.
are literal ticking time bombs in your body. And at any point, they can decide that they no longer want to be friends with you and would rather be somewhere else.
You ate the wrong food
It's not even
yesterday.
that. It's not even like a food you eat. It just
Yeah.
quite
Well,
literally one day just says, "I don't want to be here."
yeah.
Like it could happen. For like those that listen to wrestling, like Matt Hardy's fucking like appendix exploded, like on him. Like it took him out for like months. Um, but like, dude,
Well, you
God,
die from that actually, but
you could die, yeah, because again, it's
this happened.
quite literally exploding inside of you. Um,
Yeah.
God, man, like fucking yeah, like at any point, like it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, dude, I was like 7, not 7, fucking, I was older than I don't know, like 7 or 8, like somewhere between 7 and 10, right? And it decided to explode. It could happen to older people. Tyler, there's still a point in your life where it could happen to you, and your appendix says, "Hey, I don't want to be here anymore. Could you get me out of here?" And then you have to, otherwise it will forcefully try to get out of you.
Yes.
Like, if you don't get
Well,
me removed, I'll remove my damn self. Um,
yeah,
God, man, appendix
right.
is
How do
crazy.
we rate? How do we relate this to COVID?
Um, both are not epic.
Yeah, both are not epic.
Both are not epic.
Anyways, I think we had a pretty good discussion about it.
I feel like
Kind of went
is
on
true.
some tangents on
On
parts,
some
but
other things, yes.
that's okay.
Yeah, like that's the good thing about podcasts, though,
Kind
is
of
like we can
reached,
bring it
yeah,
into other things and talk about other jazz
we kind of
and
reached political climates into a little bit, but that's okay.
mhm.
That's
I'm
just kind of part of the
it's just
situation.
how it is. That's how talking works, you know. That's
Yeah.
how it's where it gets you.
Plus, it was part of the topic too. Politics did play a part in COVID, like with like stimulus checks and, or at least in the U.S. I'm not entirely sure how things were. I think UK suffered a similar situation, but it was just like, yeah, politics was played a big part into how things happened during the lockdowns and whatnot. And that's just kind of, you have to, if we're talking about like this topic, there's just something you have to preach on. um
Hmm.
but
It's a very touchy subject with a lot of different factors, so
yeah. um
it's a lot of stuff. But thank you all for tuning in. If you're
yes,
listening to this on Twitch, make sure to hit the follow button. It's free. If you're on YouTube, hit a like, subscribe, comment. Fucking
weekly.
yeah, you can do a lot of things on YouTube for free. Because YouTube's different in that way, where you can like subscribe and like and stuff, and you don't gotta like pay us money. YouTube will
Yeah.
do that for you.
And we post weekly every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, we make a new podcast and we post it onto YouTube since the VODs don't stick around too long.
Any, I don't think we have an idea on the next one yet.
No, but we'll figure it out. I
Yeah.
I think. But thank you all for joining.